Good afternoon. Welcome to Genetics 101. Today, we are going to talk about Punnett Squares, what they are, what they mean, and how we can use them to determine the effects of crossbreeding. So, if we look at the board, I have drawn a population of sample people. Now, class, if you look at these people, are there any specific characteristics, any observations about these people you'd like to share? Any ideas? Grace.
They have red and blue hair.
Perfect. Characteristics like hair color and eye color and height, in genetics language, we refer to those as traits. Now, the reason a person would have different trait, like a red hair color trait or blue hair color trait, is based on that individual's DNA. DNA is a molecule in the body that's basically the information central within each person. And on each of your DNA, there is a specific sequence that is going to tell your body what color hair you're going to have, in this case, red or blue. We're going to refer to that specific sequence as the hair color gene. And different versions of that hair color gene are going to end up coding for red or blue hair. So, in genetics, different genes are usually represented with letters, in this case, the letter B. And different versions of that gene are going to be represented by uppercase or lowercase letters. So, it looks like today, an uppercase B is going to mean the version of the gene that codes for blue hair, the blue allele. And a lowercase b is going to code for red hair, it's going to be the red allele. So, if a person has two copies of the blue allele, two uppercase b's, that person is going to end up having blue hair. If a person has two lowercase b's, two red hair alleles, that person's going to end up having red hair. Now, you may notice some of these people have two different alleles on their hair color gene. They have an uppercase B and a lowercase b. This is where we get the phenomenon of dominant and recessive traits. A dominant trait is one in which you only need one copy of that allele in order to code for that trait. For example, if you have an uppercase B, if you have the dominant blue allele, it doesn't even matter what the second letter is going to be. So it could be a lowercase b or an uppercase b. In either way, you're going to end up having blue hair. All right, so we talked about dominant and recessive traits, talked about DNA and genes. Now we have all the information we need to talk about today's central question, which is, how can we determine the effects of crossbreeding? Or, in other words, if this man and this woman were to have a child, could we reasonably guess what color hair their kid would have? As it turns out, there is. During World War I, a British scientist named Reginald Punnett came up with a really simple tool that we can answer this question with in just a couple of seconds. It's called the Punnett Square. In order to use the Punnett Square, you have to know the genotype, or the series of letters on each of the parents' hair color gene. In this case, we have that information, so we're set to go. To use a Punnett Square, you start out by drawing a square. Now, the number of cells in this square is going to correspond to the number of different alleles, the number of different letters on each person's hair color gene. Each of these people has 2 letters, so the square is going to be 2 by 2, 4 cells overall. To use the Punnett Square, you start out by drawing the mother's genes across the top. The mother has blue, big B, little b. And you're going to draw the paternal genotype down the side. The father also has a big B and a little b. Now, to use a Punnett Square, you just multiply across the side and down. So the value that is up here is going to be drawn in each of the boxes down. So big B, each of these boxes is going to get a big B. Little b, each of these boxes is going to get a little b. And the same across the side. This value is a big B. Each of these boxes is going to get a big B. Little b, each of these boxes gets a little b. So these represent all of the different kinds of letter patterns that are going to be on their offspring's hair color gene. So if you look at this, we have 1 big B, big B. We have 2 big B, little b's. And we have 1 little b, little b. So that's a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio on the genotypic, on the gene level. But if we look at this one right here has 2 uppercase V's. So what kind of hair color is this scenario going to have? 2 dominant alleles. What color? Do you have a guess, Kevin? Blue. It's going to be blue. What about this one down here that has 2 different copies of the recessive trait? Danielle?
Red.
Awesome. But things get a little trickier. What about the heterozygous example when they have 2 different alleles? Grace?
Blue.
That person is also going to have blue hair because you only need 1 copy of the blue allele for it to have blue hair. So it's a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio on the genotypic level, but these 2 combine. So if these lovely people here were to crossbreed and have offspring, for every 4 children, 3 that they have, 3 would have blue hair, 1 would have red hair, or for every child that they have, there's a 75% chance that they're going to have blue hair. So that's how you use a Punnett square to determine the effects of crossbreeding. Are there any questions? This is a parody of a song that I wrote for my application to Summerbridge Pittsburgh with the Breakthrough Collaborative Program for summer 2013. My topic was Punnett Squares, and I wrote a song called I Just Can't Wait to Cross These Jeans to the tune of I Just Can't Wait to Be King from Disney's The Lion King. So here it is. My mother and my father have brownish colored eyes. Mine are blue, my sister's too, which was a big surprise. But then I drew a Punnett square, you all know what that means. Oh, I just can't wait to cross these jeans. Mother's jeans on the top, father's jeans down the side, doing a allele swap. Recessive trait is blue-eyed. Thanks to Punnett Squares, we can know how we got the traits that we all show. I think it's time for you and I to talk about DNA. Your parents gave your genes to you, yours is mom's and dad's halfway. If the trait you've got is dominant, your alleles don't have to agree. Recessive traits must be the same. Draw a Punnett square, then you'll see. If you want to know if your traits are what they seem, genetics can help you with this dream. Just draw a Punnett square and we will scream. Oh, I just can't wait to cross these jeans.